Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore, where we will be talking about Nahiri. Yes, Joe, Nahiri.
And how is that relevant to the plane?
So, is that everything that we've been investigating in the storyline so far is finally coming to a head. We're going to understand how exactly what happened to Hanwar happened.
Awesome.
So, it opens up the story with Nahiri basically her whole spiel fighting Soren and all that stuff. That's where we learn all this stuff. That was in the first article for Eldritch Moon. And we're really picking up with the second one. After she's gone back to Zendikar, after she saw the entirety of Alaged was like completely obliterated and turned to dust, after she sees Ulabag on the horizon just going, all that stuff happened already. And so now we're on the bluffs of Selhoff. And Nahiri is super proud of herself because those cryptoliths that have been popping up all over the place, which was one of the clue tokens, and it was mentioned in the Hanwar Chronicles, but the little like doink, you'll see it. There's a card already up for it. You get the idea. Those things have all been pointed in such a way that they're channeling all the mana from the ley lines into this particular location. Part of the way that she's done all that and gotten all the resources to do this is not only the fact that she's, of course, what is it called? Oh yeah, a planeswalker that uses lithomancy and an old walker initially, but also the fact that she's had Gisa working with her this entire time, using her zombies. Yes. You may recall that Gisa met Nahiri at the end of that thing, and you may recall that Jace, prior during the Jace episodes, he had accused Liliana of being the bad guy behind everything because he saw zombies doing a whole bunch of grunt work, and it was because they were Gisa zombies instead. And Soren Jace doesn't have very good
investigating skills.
Yeah, he's not very good at it.
Which is kind of bad for the Unraveler of Secrets.
As Zendikar has bled, so will Innistrad. And she knew that, like, she felt the moment Avacyn was unmade. And she said, she feels it happen. She feels the explosive chain reaction as everything is sort of like kind of going, like everything, just the world is caving in basically, right? Mm-hmm. And she just like points her sword up to the sky and says, "Come to me, come to Innistrad." And she can sense it. And she looks at the water, to the temple, the Drawnir temple that she had created. And she saw that there were things coming out of it. Something was happening. It was time. Now, back in Gavany, you have people realizing it's time to pray. And there's a little kid, and the little kid is praying because it's Maeli, by the way. Remember Maeli?
Yep.
Maeli's cowering now in fear. They survived everything that happened, and they're praying to Avacyn because they're afraid, not knowing that Avacyn is now dead.
Which is insane because Maeli was part of Avacyn's turning point.
Yes. Right here, we have Maeli's point of view. And to be honest, before I started reading through all these things again, I hadn't realized that this was the same kid. And it was a cool moment to see the consistency and the continuity in that sense. It says that he clutches a stuffed rabbit that was given to him by an old woman with gray hair. And she had taken him into the house that smelled of sweets and stale bread. She told him to call her Miss Sadie. There's these thick, writhing arms reaching for him, shooting through the space between Cathar blades. They had just burst out of Miss Sadie's chest the night they were going to eat dinner. Basically, everything is falling apart. There's these things happening everywhere. We're just seeing a little bit right here. And you have the kid scream, "Please, Avacyn, help me." And then a voice says, "Avacyn is gone." And he looks up and he sees another angel. Because remember, even though Avacyn was dead, you still had the Flight of Alabaster and the Flight of Gold Knight that were still corrupted. Sigarda did not get corrupted because she avoided Avacyn for so long. So her flight was safe. If enough time had been given, Sigarda probably would have been turned as well. But at this point, it's the entire Gold Knight, the most militant, and the Flight of Alabaster, which are the ones supposed to be protecting human spirits. And then the angel says, she is here now. She is rising. And she kills Maeli. That's that happening. Then we go to the coast of Nephalia. And there's a person named Edith. And she has her toes clenched onto some rock, smooth, wet rock on the shore of Nephalia. And she's saying, please, please choose me. I am the most devout. Choose me. Emrakul. The name, the power, the fullness unfurled within her as the water roiled. Emrakul. The wholeness embraced her, entwined with her, became her. The sea swelled upward toward the sky. Choose me, Rakul. Take me, Rakul. Choose me, Rakul. Take me, Rakul. I am Rakul. They're pretty nutso.
This goes way above Skursdag.
Yes. Then Emrakul rose.
Is this the cult that Blackwell left to join?
Yeah, probably. That's actually a great connection, Joe. I didn't make that connection. That's probably exactly what this is. It says, Edith could not contain the wail that erupted from her chest. The sound of her voice swelled with the undulation of her power and melded with the resonance of her embrace. Complete. And it says that Emrakul looked down at her, one enormous glowing magenta eye. And then it cuts to the next part. Because we're just seeing, similar to how when Avacyn lost her mind, we saw a bunch of little mini stories all going on at once. Now we're cutting here. And this is the main reason I kind of skimmed over the story with Elena and Hal, because now we're in the depths of the Uvenwald. You have Hal and Elena. They're back to back and surrounded. And they are tired. Everything twisted, horrifying. The brambles had mouths that blabbered and shrieked. The moss had legs and that scampered like rats. And even the townsfolk who did not belong in the woods had given into the chorus of first, and they had become things that were worse than the worst monsters they had ever known. And I was like, we should start with the townsfolk. And so they look at the three townsfolk that were mutated, and they said, come, Rakul, be Rakul. And they're like, no. No, thank you.
That's okay.
Yeah. And so they're realizing that all of these different people they're not them anymore. They see Elder Coleman, who was a character from the previous one, who the story with them that they were working with. And the guy is dressed in full cultist attire. He's got the little three swirl thing. He's got an Eldrazi arm. His entire goitered up face is gone like that. His mouth is open wide. He's surrounded by other horrors. These things are abominations, and they don't know what to do. So they're fighting these things, and they're slicing at them, and they're trying to not die. In the end, they realize that as the groups and all the different corrupted individuals are too great, too plentiful, and everything else is going terrible, and there's a writhing mass, basically, Hal and Elena realize that they can't fight them, and so they run away. They decided that if they had to, they would fight anyone they needed to if they could just stay together. And so that is where they're at the start of the world ending. We were looking at Nephalia, we looked at Gavany, we looked at the Ulvenwald. But now we're just over the skies of Innistrad.
Oh, we saw Hanware.
Yeah, we saw Hanware. Bruna was gone. Gisela was finished. Emrakul's angel parted 4 wings, reached out with 2 arms, and cried with a single voice that sprang from 2 mouths. We are Emrakul, created in her image. And they're just screaming, we are Emrakul, we are Makrul, we Makrul, be Makrul, one Makrul. This is Brazella.
Really now?
So, like I said before, everything is going super crazy. Everything is kind of upending. With Avacyn's death, they lost their protector. And as a result, Emrakul basically just broke through. The only thing holding Emrakul back was Avacyn, like a lock on the plane. And with her gone, this is what the result is. Everything is going, oh, Costa Rica. And so then we go to Jace. And he's saying, we are Emrakul. All are, no, God, no, what, no, stay out. And like he literally just erases that part out of his mind because he's like, not again. Because earlier when he was investigating, he started getting that thing going on in his head again. And he was like, nuh-uh, And so he's been focused on staying in the moment with Tamio, trying to get out as fast as they could. And at first, the thing they saw in the sky, they thought it was a demon because of the lattice-like connective tissue with dual heads, melded voice. They were like, nope, that is not a demon. That's much worse. And he was like, I'm certain that I am in control. I'm in control. Am I in control? I'm close to being entirely in control. I have lost control. And Tamio was like, hey, look, Goon, focus. This is bigger than you. Focus. And so Jace is thinking about how the fact that Soren messed up by killing off Avacyn instead of trying to fix her, because that was pretty much all he could do. And they remember at this point, Jace has already gotten rid of Ulamog and Kozilek with the help of the Gatewatch. And so they look and they can see Emrakul in the distance. He goes, and it says Emrakul is bigger, he could swear, than either of the others. Because he was aware of Emrakul. He knew about Emrakul. He knew he released Emrakul, and he'd seen things that talked about them. But this entire time, he had never actually seen her. And in his mind, he thinks, I am Rakul. And he's like, no! Maybe don't look directly at it. That might help. Tamio says, you say they call her Emrakul, right? And he goes, yes, that's one of the things they call her. And since she says, it's amazing that thing could have a name. And she goes, I wonder if that's what she calls herself. And there's like this general like question in his mind, right? And he looks at the thing and goes, what is your name? What do you call yourself? And then suddenly this deluge just hits his head. His mind is assaulted. The eternal infinity. This world is mine. The absolute. I shall have all. The beginning. I shall be all. The being. All are Rakul. The end. The end. The end. And he's like, nope. I'm not touching that again.
Like, I appreciate the answer. I won't ask next time.
And
Samuel Welsh is polite.
Yeah, and Jace goes, Tamio, I have to go. And she's like, what? He goes, look, there are other planeswalkers. They can help. I can get them. They'll be able to stop this. He goes, on another world, we killed 2 more just like that. And she's like, 2? He goes, it took us all, but yes, 2. And she's like, you did. You really and truly did. That's a story I'll have to hear. Another time, because we need to get this story finished. And he's like, well, you're going to come with me? She goes, no, that's not my path. And he goes, well, will you be here when I come back? She goes, we will all be here. We will all be where we must be. And he's like, what are you, a fortune cookie? And she's like, that's racist. He goes, I'm sorry. And so Tamio basically puts it like a shield over his mind so that he's able to focus and planeswalk, because he knows that he needs Nissa, Gideon, and Chandra.
The Gatewatch.